You muted. You're muted. You're muted, Mary. You're muted. Can you hear me? I don't want to go and get started and then can't nobody hear me. Can you hear me? Oh, you're muted too. Okay, but Mary on the move. So today is going to be a super quick but very delicious recipe. And the best part about it is that it's like a little stress vaccine for your body. So we're gonna talk about adaptogens today. So I'm super excited about that. If there's any herbalists out there, you know exactly what I'm about to talk about, and you're probably as excited about it as I am. So I'm just kind of getting my ingredients together here. So the first one is the walnuts. Walnuts Walnuts are amazing, and they have so many good like nutritional properties. They have omega threes, yes, um, and usually you can only get those from fish. So the fact that these nuts have it too are amazing. There's a couple of other ones too. The chia seeds. So I'm going to put some chia seeds in mine. It's not in the normal recipe, but like I said, this is a fun recipe that you can definitely customize. So I love me some chia seeds. Chia seeds are really high in fiber as well. So they help me get to my fiber requirement, especially because I've been kind of slacking on my meals, so I haven't really been eating as many vegetables and stuff as I normally do. And so I didn't get any ashwagandha powder, but ashwagandha is an adaptogen that, hold on, I made notes so I can make sure I'm telling y'all the right stuff, that reduces stress and anxiety. Yes. So living in the world that we live in today, there's plenty of stress and anxiety to go around for everybody. So though there are some warnings I want to give about the ashwagandha though, and actually a couple of the other herbs and adaptogens and a lot of things that you kind of start hearing about more and more now. Be very careful, especially if you are on medications. Precisely warfarin, which is a blood thinner. So if you are on a blood thinner, most of the stuff that I'm talking about probably won't apply to you because you can't use those things because they interact very heavily with that medication. So if you are on blood thinners, definitely don't do this. And if you're on any type of medication, talk to your doctor before you start adding these herbs and things into your diet because you could very well run into some drug interactions, and we don't want that. So, and I got a small little story to tell y'all in a little bit as well about that kind of thing. But it ties into my 6-week hormone balancing program. So I'm doing it myself. So I'm currently on week 2, and I found this program through here. I'll actually show y'all the book through this wonderful doctor's book. Okay, so I love, and you see all my little note tabs and stuff. Like I'm really like reading, and not just reading, but I'm studying this book, and it reads very it reads nice, like she's talking to you, but the information in it is kind of like a textbook. So I definitely use it as a reference to set up this program that I'm hopefully gonna get a whole lot of women some the help that they need with this program. And me personally, just kind of getting off of birth control, I was on the Depo shot. If you don't know about Depo-Provera, or if you do, Depo-Provera is a birth control shot that has progesterone in it. So it's not an estrogen birth control like the pill. The pill is an estrogen hormone pill, and Depo is progesterone. So progesterone is the hormone that basically tells your body it's pregnant. And what happens is that when your progesterone levels go up, after your ovulation period and stuff. That's during the post-ovulation phase, your progesterone increases. And what happens with the birth control is it doesn't allow the progesterone levels to fall again when the egg is not fertilized. That kind of, signals your body, tells your body to go ahead and, clear everything out and start over. So it stops that clear everything out and start over phase. And so because you don't do that, you also don't ovulate. So it's a lot of things that doesn't occur because your progesterone levels remain elevated. So now I'm kind of feeling the effects of my progesterone levels crashing because my body was so used to being on these high levels of progesterone from my birth control that now it's like my emotions are everywhere, like depression is kind of creeping in. So there's a ton of symptoms and a lot of things we kind of attribute to other things that are really due to a hormone imbalance. And stress also is a big hormone imbalancing factor because stress produces cortisol in your body. And the higher the levels of cortisol, the bigger that imbalance becomes, and the longer the amount your body has cortisol circulating through it for no apparent reason, like unless you're being attacked by, something, or, you're stressed over something like a game or a project or something like that has an end to it, so that you eventually, your stress levels can reduce, or if you're healing, because our cortisol helps with healing, so it causes inflammation in the body. So if you have high cortisol levels for too long, then you can have increased inflammation in areas where there should be no inflammation, which is a problem. And you end up with all of these hormonal imbalances. Your sleep is kind of thrown off because melatonin is the counter hormone for cortisol. So when you're sleeping, at the end of your sleep phase, just before you wake up, your body produces cortisol to wake you up. So if you have high levels of cortisol, then you would need that much more melatonin to even fall asleep, and then you still have difficulty staying asleep. So these little, that's why I call them bliss bites. So this is a recipe out of that book I showed you all, and like I said, there are plenty of ways to kind of specialize it for you, whatever it is you're trying to do. Like I said, if you're on certain medications, you would definitely want to leave out the ashwagandha or any other adaptogens, because they would definitely interact with warfarin. And like I said, if you haven't talked to your doctor yet, don't put them in there. But overall, this is a very healthy snack. It's full of, especially with all these walnuts, it's full of zinc, selenium, magnesium, omega-3. So it's a very anti-inflammatory, protein-packed, nutrient-packed snack. And the serving size is 2 to 4 bites. So it is something you can grab and take with you on the go. So that being said, we're going to get started on our bites. Make sure y'all can see me. Make sure you can see me. Okay, so I got my little blender here. So this is my protein powder, and it's the strawberry cheesecake. So I'm putting this in for X. It has a bunch of nutrients, 21 essential, there's essentials in there, and then overall it's about 21 vitamins and minerals. So this is just making it even more healthy, and so I could probably make smaller bites because of that, and then kind of get more out of it, kind of stretch it a little bit more. But this is kind of to add some flavor, a different kind of flavor, because I'm not big on chocolate, but chocolate is cool. And so we're going to start with our walnuts. This is 1.5 cups of walnuts. And this is my my little smoothie bowl cup. I'm losing walnuts. This is my little smoothie bowl cup from my Ninja blender, and it has this little spin thing so that I can push the stuff back down and make sure everything gets blended nice and evenly. And then I'm going to have to switch my cups because that one, as you can see, is almost completely full. So I'm just going to use that one to blend down my my walnuts. And then once I get those nice and fine, you want a fine powder for this. Otherwise, you'll end up with giant walnut chunks. So if you want walnut chunks, that's up to you. I got all my stuff lined up here, my dates, my I'm just using crunchy peanut butter. It says almond butter, but you can definitely use whatever your favorite nut butter is. But the reason why in that particular recipe there's almond butter because almonds are a great hormone balancing thing, especially for women. So snacking on almonds, putting almonds in, in your yogurt and stuff like that can absolutely help you with plenty of hormonal imbalances, especially if you're working on getting more of those nutrients that help you do that. That's all. I'm gonna just post it because it's got these settings on here. I don't know what they do, so I'm gonna just post it. Let me close this door. My daughter's napping, and I don't want my blending to wake her up. Okay. So even my little walnut, because all nuts have some type of oil in them, and so the oil in my walnuts, as they're getting broke down, is making everything stick to the sides at the bottom, away from the wiper and the blade. But this, okay, yeah, and this is like already kind of like a thick consistency, but we're gonna blend it some more to get some more of those chunks into more of a kind of powder situation. So we got a little bit more room here, but as things start to fill up, I'm definitely gonna have to switch. But I'm gonna start here with this. Who knew it would be so sticky? Sticky, icky. I haven't eaten walnuts in a very long time, but now that I've been doing more research and they've been popping up, and some of like the more nutrient, kind of having a longer list of different types of specific nutrients that our bodies need that we don't have a whole lot of sources of, like definitely want to start getting more of these. Okay. I think that's cool. And then we're going to add the peanut butter in here. So this is why you don't need a lot of nut butter. It says just 2 tablespoons, and that is going to help add a little bit of moisture to it, because the nut butters, the oils are already kind of, settled and out. So. But this is really soft, and it's actually pretty warm. And I didn't do anything to it for it to be warm, but yeah, it's a fresh thing of peanut butter. Then we get our scoop. Big spoon. So, and we're just gonna scoop 2 of these in there. And like I said, it don't have to be like a perfect measure, because these are like, a quick and dirty, something that you can do like even, on a day that you have a little bit of extra time, you can make these and then refrigerate them for other days when you don't necessarily have time. But these are definitely a good, quick, like kind of grab and go thing to keep you help keep you energized, satisfied, so you're not hangry. Don't go and grab a Snickers with all the processed stuff in it and sugars and all the stuff that actually ruins your hormone balance. Sugar is the biggest culprit of doing that, and processed, especially very processed foods and pastries and things like that that use white bleached flour, and it can be a mess. And so then we're gonna attempt to blend this together because this stuff is like super duper thick. Okay. And it's coming together real nicely. So these are going to form really, really nicely. And I'm kind of worried about how these dates are going to work out because the dates are always harder to kind of get in there. Like, get in the mix. I think it was a cup of dates. A half a cup of dates. Okay. So I might not need the other bag. It looks like this is about a half a cup. Dates. Now the dates are they're really, really sweet. So these are I don't know if you can see that on there, but is that focusing? That's really not focusing, but I'll read it to you. So the dates have 21 grams of sugar per fourth of a cup. Now, mind you, fruit and because they are they're a fruit. These are just dried and pitted, but fruits tend to be really high in sugars, but they're healthy sugars. Why are they healthy? Because they're from a natural source and they're accompanied by a ton of fiber. So fruits tend to have about an even ratio of sugars to fiber and or more fiber. So even though they're really high in sugar, there's so much fiber in it that the sugar gets released into your bloodstream slowly so that your bloodstream doesn't spike, you don't become insulin resistant, you don't end up with diabetes and things. So this is why diabetes is so much on the rise, and all these insulin resistant diseases and things are on the rise, is because a lot of the foods that we eat have little to no fiber in it on this SAD diet. It's called SAD. It's a standard American diet, which is a highly processed food type diet. And that's why, because the sugars are way too available, they're not natural, and there's no fiber to slow the release of it into your blood, and then your cells end up becoming insulin resistant, so they don't get the signal when the insulin is released. They don't get the signal to pull the sugar out of your blood, and so your blood sugar spikes and stays high. That's the problem, that it stays high. And so that interacts and interferes with your signaling, your other electrolytes you have in your bloodstream, like sodium. Sodium is the most abundant one, but if you've got a bunch of sugars and stuff hanging around there, they can end up interacting with stuff like that. You also have chloride, which is a negatively charged ion in your bloodstream, and then your sugars end up running into that stuff, and so you end up with a messy situation. So get your fiber, leave the processed foods, process your own food. This is literally what food processing looks like. So we're gonna pray for these dates, all right? So now we have our base done, and now we get to our add-ins. So these, I call these the add-ins. So this is something that actually got sent to me through like this little subscription service I do, and they send me like little random samples from these little people. I forget the name of the people. It'll come to me. But this particular thing is from this company, Anima Mundi. I've never heard of them. Anima Mundi Apothecary, handcrafted plant medicine. So this one in particular is a collagen booster, and it doesn't have collagen in it. What it's intended to do is help your body's collagen production by reducing inflammation, because it is adaptogenic. There is an adaptogen in it. Let me see. It's got ginger. That's an adaptogen. Nettle. That's also one. Rose petals. Cardamom. Cardamom is amazing. It's very relaxing. I actually keep some cardamom. Okay. Here we go. Boom. So yeah. That's cardamom. It is an actual spice. If you're into baking, then you probably already know about it, because cardamom, it's almost like cloves and cinnamon, nutmeg. Like it fits into that kind of group. So it works really well in baking and stuff like that. But this, I'm gonna put. If I can get this open. Because I don't really want to mess the label up, because I need that to know what's in it. So I'm going to cut the bottom there. And I'm just going to put like one tablespoon of this in there. Because let me see, they even have a suggested serving size on here. And that's another thing. And when you're using adaptogens, stick to the serving size. So whatever company that you go with, whoever stuff that you buy, they should have a serving size amount on there. Stick to that, because you could absolutely end up overdosing. So it says add 1 teaspoon to your choice of lot. So these are for single serve, but like I said, each ball is going to basically equal 1 teaspoon. So I think, how many am I doing? This recipe makes about 12 balls. So 2 tablespoons should do it. And then that way we won't overdo it. So let me open this. Get it ready. Yeah. And this really done warmed up in the blender, and as you can see the nut oils kind of coming out in there, and nut oils are very anti-inflammatory. They're full of good fats, good healthy fats that help reduce bad fats and bad cholesterol in your body. So they help with fighting heart disease and arteriosclerosis and all of that stuff. And they're very good at lubricating your digestive system, and because all the nuts and things in it have great amounts of fiber and insoluble fibers and stuff like that. It promotes a healthy microbiome, so healthy gut bacteria. It's a prebiotic. So prebiotics feed the bacteria, and probiotics add bacteria. And so this is also great for your digestion. So if you've been constipated, irregular, all of that stuff, even calming on your digestive system. So if you have IBS, and like I said, this recipe is for women's hormone balancing. So she talks a lot about PCOS, or polycystic ovary syndrome, and that is a very highly inflammatory disease for women, and it usually is accompanied by IBS and other digestive issues, mostly from the inflammation. So this can help with all of that good stuff. I'm trying to measure this. Oh, just made a mess. I was going to say, without making a mess, just made a mess. Okay. It smells really good, too, because there's cinnamon in this, too. And cinnamon has its own, beautiful healing properties. I love me some herbs and spices. Plants are so beautiful. And I'm so glad that they were put here for us to eat on. Okay, I'm trying to set this up until I can put that in a store it in another bag. All right. Now we got our cocoa powder. Cocoa powder. So a fourth of a cup. And then this is dark. This is 100% unsweetened cocoa. So that's the cocoa you should be using, not like the actual Hershey's bars, because those have like all types of other stuff in it to make it into a bar to sweeten it and make it taste good and make people want to buy a whole bunch of it. So, but they have very good quality cocoa powder. So that's why I'm using their cocoa powder. This is actually a third of a cup, but we're gonna just use it and then not fill the cup up and call it a fourth. Because sometimes that's how you gotta improvise. Okay. All right. Really trying not to make a mess with the powders. It's a struggle. Okay. Get the cocoa powder in there. And then for the chia seeds, I'm not going to put a whole lot. I'm going to do these probably 1 scoop. Because, boy, man, chia seeds are very, like, super, super high in fiber. So if you are having digestive issues, add some chia seeds and some flax seed to your diet, and you'll see a big change pretty quickly. All right, and then I'm gonna do my 1 scoop. Oh, and so like, okay, this protein is a soy-based protein, but her book, that's what I'm telling you, that's why I love her book, because she actually went and found all of the useful research and then just kind of, bandwagon and, kind of go off of what people have been saying. And so, here, I'm going to blend this up and I'm going to talk to y'all about soy and estrogens and things like that. See how that cocoa powder turning it brown? Ooh, it's going to be good. I don't know if y'all ready for these bliss balls, but I am. Okay, I think that might have did it, because this thing got my little cup all warm and stuff, because it's struggling. It's struggling. So now, here, let me get a little glass for this, and then I can talk to y'all about this soy and estrogen while I roll these balls up. So my coconut. This is fresh coconut. This is actually the coconut from, I don't know, from a while ago. It's from a minute ago, but I froze it. As you can see, it's frozen solid, but it thaws out pretty quickly, so this should be enough. Is that gonna be enough? I don't know, because I'm not the biggest fan of like coconut on stuff for the most part, but coconut is super healthy too. So especially if you're not allergic to coconut, get you some coconut. And then I like to get the fresh coconut, because then I can get my own coconut water from it, and I just add it into like my water and stuff throughout the day until it runs out. And I like to get the fresh coconut straight from the source, because there's coconut water that you can buy in the store, but why buy it in the store when you can just have your own and then you know what's in it? That's my number one argument for doing everything yourself, because then you know what's in it. So here, let me see. Can you see me? Can you see me? Because I actually still need this blender for the ice cream, so I don't want to put it away. But I'm gonna move here so y'all can see what I'm doing. So I'm just grating the coconut into the bowl that I'm gonna put my Bliss Bites in. So then as I roll them up, I can just kind of roll them through the coconut shavings and get a nice little layer of coconut on the outside of each. This piece just tried to all the way off. So this was frozen completely solid in the 30 minutes that I've been standing here talking to y'all. It's pretty much thawed out. So if you do have coconut and you freeze it, just know that it's not going to take long to thaw it out. So you don't have to think about, oh, it's going to be inconvenient still, even if I freeze it. Nope. You saw it here yourself. And, okay, so the soy debate. The big soy thing. So for the most part, soy is not your enemy. Usually it's the way it's processed that causes the inflammation and issues and stuff. And also, if you over consume it, you could end up building up an allergic response. Or if you're also consuming it and you're not really eating anti-inflammatory foods, if you're still on a diet high in inflammatory substances like alcohol, cooking oils like vegetable oil, hydrogenated oils. So, those tend to be vegetable oils that aren't normally not liquid. Crisco, things like that. Those things tend to be really, really high in omega-6s, which can create an inflammatory situation. And then along comes soy, and they late to the party, and then now you think it's just the soy that's doing that, and really it's your overall diet and lifestyle. So in the book, she talks about the protective effects of the phytoestrogen. So phytoestrogen is a plant hormone, a plant estrogen, hence the phyto in the name. Phyto is quite literally means plant in scientific terms. And estrogen, people know that's the female sex hormone. But all plants have phytoestrogen. They just have them in different varying levels and things like that. And then our environment has what we call xenoestrogens, meaning foreign sources of estrogen. So pesticides, herbicides, cleaning chemicals, all types of things can act like estrogen in our body. Even though it's not estrogen, it doesn't really function as estrogen even in whatever it's used for, but it can function like estrogen in our body, which is a problem because it's not actually estrogen. So it actually blocks our real estrogen from binding to the neurotransmitters and other sites and things where it needs to do its job. So the phytoestrogens, they block the binding sites from these xenoestrogens, but they don't bind more readily to those sites than our real estrogen. So they block the bad estrogen, but they allow our estrogen to do its job. So that's why they are useful, and that's why soy estrogen is not the problem, especially if you're not consuming it in like really large amounts, and you have a pretty much balanced diet otherwise, then those probably aren't your issue. But if that's all you're eating and all you're taking in, then it could very well be the source of some issues and things like that. But that's how anything is. If you overdo a thing, even a good thing, it can be a bad thing. So now, and this paste is like really kind of oily, because like I said, the blender made it warm. So I have warm bites, but because of the oils and things, you see how it's kind of glistening. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's like glistening from the natural nut oils, and that's actually what's keeping them together. And so then I'm going to refrigerate it, and that's going to make them stay in their ball shape. I might need another bowl for this. But I didn't want to try and grate it over a little bowl. Yeah, this is my daughter's. This is my daughter's bowl. We don't have the little cooking bowls, so I'm gonna just use my daughter's bowl. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna just move this to a separate bowl, and then whatever's in there, I'm just gonna roll this one up in it, and okay. And this is really soft, and I can smell the cocoa in it, and it smells really good. So you can eat it just like this. You can eat the ball just like this. It's all soft and gooey. It's edible now, and then you can refrigerate or freeze them, and then take them as to-go snacks. So now the talk about adaptogens. So we're getting to the fun portion. So adaptogens, they help us adapt to stress. So adaptogens help with our stress response, our hormonal stress response, and our mental kind of capacity to deal with that stress and make power through whatever it was that we were doing or that caused the stress thing, so that we can go ahead, take care of it, get done with it, and then go and relax. So they when you have a stress response, what they call a general adaptation syndrome. So that's what your body ends up experiencing when you encounter a stressor. Now, mind you, nowadays most of our stress is imaginary. So our ancient ancestors, they had to worry about living with wild animals and other things just kind of popping out of bushes on them and stuff like that. So their stress response tended to deal with direct life or death situations and on a regular basis. So unless you're in a job where you have to experience that a lot, most of our day-to-day stresses and things that kind of ignite our fight or flight response are imaginary. Like a lot of our fears are imaginary. Like it's something that we made up. It's not an actual physical fear, like a bear coming to attack you or something like that, or a robber coming to shoot you and steal your stuff. So those are normal, real stress situations, and the imaginary ones tend to have longer lasting effects, mostly because it didn't originate from a physical stimulus. So because it wasn't something in your actual environment that caused the stress, it's kind of harder to get away from it. So adaptogens help with the resistance phase of our gas response. So there's 3 stages. There's let me make sure yes, I took notes. So there's 3 stages. There's the alarm, resistance, and exhaustion. So adaptogens extend our resistance phase so that we can, like I said, go ahead, finish doing what we're doing and go and calm down. And the exhaustion phase is like, after the whole like kind of rigmarole is over, like you just feel so tired, like I need to lay down. Like that's a full body exhaustion going on. It's not just you being tired or being up for so long doing that. It's your body kind of being tired from responding to the cortisol that prompted your fight or flight response to help kind of get your blood going, get other hormones moving to help you either run, fight, or end up freezing and, being stuck in terror and things like that. That's where that came from, because it's an actual hormonal response. And that's why, like first responders, police officers, EMTs, Army, that's why they train, because what they're doing is they're training how their body responds to these natural systems that are, occurring with these hormones and signaling. And so instead of freezing in a situation that you absolutely need to be able to act and think in, now because you trained your body to respond in a certain way during these phases, you can cope better and get the job done. And so adaptogens is just an herbal version of that physical training that, our, first responders and Army and, people like that kind of go through. So instead of you going through physical training, you're going through herbal training with some adaptogens. Almost out of coconut. It smells like peanut butter chocolate. Peanut butter chocolate. So I have 7 in there now, and I'm almost like kind of halfway done with rolling these up. And then we can get started on our ice cream. I'm a pop these in the deep freezer so that they can cool off a little bit faster. But even this, like how it is, this could even, you could just put this in a jar too and make it a spread. Just make sure that you measure out like a tablespoon. 1 serving would be a tablespoon of this, and just measure it out, and then you can dip stuff in it. You can use it as a spread, all of that, because it really puts me in the mind of nut butter. And I mean, we use nut butter in it, so why wouldn't it? And then all you did was just, ramp it up to support your hormone balance. Okay. Sheesh. It's sticky. It's sticky. It's going to rock all around, to rock all around, to rock all around. It's sticky. Okay. Once again, another window into my brain. There is almost always some random song playing in my head. So, yep, that was one of them. Oh, and so the thing about birth controls and hormones and stuff like that. So, quick little story. My cousin has been on birth control probably like most of her life. She's 30. And so what happened was, at the right young age of 29, she had a stroke from a blood clot in her brain. And just before that, and so she also had empty sella syndrome, which is basically a brain condition where you end up with like a slow drip of your brain fluid basically draining out of your brain, so it creates like a kind of space or air pocket. And our brains are super sensitive to all types of environmental changes. And then on top of that, if there's a change within its immediate, skull space, there's going to be a problem. So that's originally what she was going to see the doctors for. And then shortly after they were, kind of getting that under control, she ended up having a stroke from a blood clot from the years and years and years of her being on different forms of birth control. So it wasn't, I can't even just say, oh, it's a certain type. Like, no, they're all kind of like not great for our bodies. And so she, oh, there it goes. So she ended up almost dying at 29 from having a stroke because she had a blood clot in her brain from being on birth control for the vast majority of her life. And there's a lot more women who have been in that same situation where They got on birth control as a teen and they just never really bothered to get off of it. And now they're like 20 or 30 something, and they have all of these medical conditions, and they can't really pinpoint or say where it came from, or all these things. It's the birth control. So that being said, this book that I told y'all about at the beginning, The Hormone Intelligence, what she doesn't like going demonize birth control, but she also isn't like screaming support for it off the top of the mountain either, especially when it comes to hormone balance, because they absolutely imbalance your hormones. And imbalanced hormones cause a host of other problems and stuff. So what she does is she presents different methods to naturally track your cycle. So you can track your cycle either, via she doesn't say use a tracking app either, because the apps are pretty inaccurate, because they base it off of like standard stuff like a 28-day cycle, but you might have a 32-day cycle, which is still normal. Or if your hormones are imbalanced, your cycle may be way longer or way shorter, so the app can't really predict or regulate when you're ovulating and all that stuff, which is important to not get pregnant. So she gives you different methods to track your ovulation, your fertility, and all of that stuff, so that you can naturally track and avoid getting pregnant without using birth control. And you can absolutely use condoms, but they're not 100% effective. So it's in your best interest to know when you're ovulating. And she does that in the book. And that's basically what I'm going back to, because I used to do that for myself. And then, I guess, stress definitely does a whole lot to the body, including imbalances your hormones. And so, that can, throw stuff off and create different problems. So that's why this program, and especially this little recipe, is going to be my new best friend. Okay. So we're going to pop these into the freezer. And we're going to get our ice cream done. Let me put that here. And then I can tell y'all about our little list of adaptogens. All this stuff you guys put it in this freezer. Here, I'm putting it in that. There. Because the lid got full. All right. So now let's get our frozen desserts. So last night I cut up my bananas to freeze them. And I put some kiwis in here. So you heard of strawberry kiwi? I'm going to try some banana kiwi. So let me finish some this out, because I'm going to need this for my ice cream, to make the ice cream. And it may not even, I may not even bother with making it all the way like sparkly, whatever, because there we go. Because these little pieces ain't finna stop nothing. It's just gonna add maybe a little bit of chocolate and some extra protein to the ice cream. So it still has the little nut oils and stuff all over it, but whatever. It's all going down the same way. So now with this, so I'm not gonna put the kiwi in at the same time as this needs to go back in the freezer. I don't want my coconuts to go bad on me. Okay. Orange blossom pine. Oh, that's good. Oh, it's cold too. So I need to put these in the bowl. I had the coconut in there until I need to add it. So first we're going to blend our bananas down into a nice smooth cream. And then we're going to add our kiwi because they're not the same consistency. So, all right. And then so when you cut the bananas, you want to try and cut them so that they're all pretty much the same size. So you don't want like some big chunks, some small chunks. Like this ain't just kind of like a chop it down to size so that it fits in the container to freeze them. Like you want them to be pretty much, the same size. And that also helps with blending too. So if you have chunks that aren't the same size, then you could end up with some chunky banana ice cream. But if you want chunky banana ice cream, by all means, do what you love, baby. Okay? And I'm gonna make sure I'm not leaving nothing out. And so this is what is the banana? So with bananas, like you don't really have to add sugar or anything to it because bananas are bananas and they don't. I don't know. I never thought of like sweet bananas, but so this one you don't really need any sugar and all that. But if you want to add some sugar, the recipe calls for a half a cup of, and I have stevia, but you can use standard sugar. But the stevia is sweeter table sugar and it's from a natural source that kind of is So just be mindful of the type of sugar that you're using and how much that you're using because the point of this whole recipe is to reduce things that will cause inflammation, ruin your gut bacteria, and throw your hormones even further out of balance. And so if you want to do fruit other than bananas, so I also have like a cup of like the mixed berries. So if you get something like this, you can definitely, I got this at Aldi, so you can definitely just take a cup of this and follow the recipe as well. But with that, you will want to add like 2/3 of a cup of vanilla oat milk or some type of full fat milk. So even if you're using, if you use cow milk, that's kind of gonna offset what we're trying to do here because cow milk is super high in estrogen because they have to be pregnant to produce milk. So if they're pregnant, then their estrogen levels are super high. So if you're trying to balance your hormones, and unless you have low estrogen, you don't want to drink the cow milk because if you have high estrogen, it's going to make it even higher. So that's why we're using oat milk, almond milk, nut milk, those type of things. But you want them to have full fat, like coconut milk tends to have, a good amount of fat in it, and you get the full fat one, and that'll make it creamier. And that's if you're using the other one. The banana ice cream, one ingredient. Freeze the bananas, blend them till they're creamy, eat your ice cream, okay? So we about to get blending now. The air that comes out of it just shot the bowl right off the counter. The banana getting stuck. There we go. And so this is what it looks like when you're kind of halfway through there. So it's like chunky, it's in pieces, it's still pretty frozen and thick and sticky, and we're gonna keep blending. And that's the only thing with this process. Like, I don't have a food processor, but if you have a food processor, you can definitely do this in a food processor because the smaller the container, the easier this will be, because there's not a whole lot of room for the banana to kind of move around and run from the blade. So if you have a food processor, I suggest you use that, especially for this part, before it gets like to its creamier kind of consistency. So let me see. So it's starting to cream up, as you see there. And so at this point, I'm going to add my kiwi in, because the kiwi isn't as sticky as the banana. So, and maybe it'll help take up some room. Even just looking at it, it just looks so creamy. I know you're probably like, why isn't it green? Kiwi is green. Yeah, not as green as you would think it is. So this is like really, so I think this might be some at the top. So we're gonna go one more time, and then this should be good enough. And then I know my Bliss bites aren't quite solid yet, but I think I'm gonna like the different. Okay, and that is it. So I'm gonna get my little dessert bowl. I'm so glad I got these little heart-shaped bowls. These are so cute to me, and they're the perfect size to enjoy my dessert without overdoing the portions. Because the problem is, well, ice cream isn't a good dessert anyway, like in general. So that's why I'm making my own. So I'm gonna take my my little gooey bite. It's good too. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And then I'm gonna take my ingredient covered spoon and scoop some of my ice cream up. So this is my ice cream. Homemade ice cream. Look at that. And like I said, you can try your own ice cream flavor. So I have never seen banana kiwi in the store anywhere. And this, oh my goodness, this is so creamy. This is so creamy. 2 ingredient ice cream, banana and kiwi. So this is what it looks like. This is where we're at right here in this space. In this space of a delicious treat that loves your body, that will help with your hormone balance, that will help with your calmness. And if you're hangry, you can grab this instead of a Snickers. Let me get a little piece of this ball here, some coconut. I got some ice cream on there. Oh, yes. Oh, okay. So the kiwi was a very good idea in the banana. So you can taste the kiwi. And the banana at the same time, but I'm not sure how to describe it. Like I said, I've never had this before because stores don't sell it. They sell stuff that they know people gonna eat. that they know a lot of people are going to eat. And a lot of people don't know nothing about this kiwi banana ice cream, but I do. So, and it's really creamy too. It almost tastes like a sherbet, but creamy. Like if you had a creamy sherbet. That's a thing? That's a thing. Mm. And then the little bite, like I said, it's still very soft because the blending made it warm, but other ones are chilling. But this works perfectly. It's almost like a mousse type texture, and I don't know. It just tastes like cocoa love, cocoa peanut butter love. But everything, it tastes really good together. So if you try this recipe, if you do any variations, you can add probably like cranberries or something to your bliss bite, uh, strawberries, like other little berries. I was considering adding some, making like a dried. You can do a dried berry thing to roll it in instead of coconut. So if you either have a dehydrator or air fryer, you can dry out some some fruit like raspberries, strawberries, cut them up into slices or dice them up or whatever, and then dry them out and then roll your bliss ball in it, and you have fresh fruit sweet situation plus this amazing ice cream. And then so your ice cream, just scoop it into a bowl and freeze it, and then you can enjoy your homemade ice cream whenever the feeling hits you. So that is the show today. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. You can check us out on Facebook in our Rock Truth Cafe live group, and I'll definitely be sharing some more of what I talked about today because there's a ton of information and super useful information. So I'll find a list of some adaptogens and put those in there and what what they're good for, what they help with, so you can try some of them out yourself, and then cycle them every 6 weeks. So if you start off with ashwagandha, do that for 6 weeks, and then switch to ginger. Well, really, I use ginger all the time. I probably even make ginger ale. So that's like on my regular to do, my regular whatever. But ginseng, here I actually have a list of some common ones I'm sure y'all have heard of. So American ginseng, it boosts working memory, reaction time, calmness, and your immune system. Goji berry, it boosts energy, physical and mental performance, calmness, and sense of well-being, and can also improve sleep. Licorice root. Now, the funny thing about licorice root is a lot of people think, like, when you hear licorice, you automatically think Twizzlers. Okay, the company. But you think red Twizzlers. Red Twizzlers is not a real anything. It's just sugar gel gummy sticks. So black licorice, the candy, is probably closer to the licorice root that I'm talking about than the red one is, because you notice that flavor. They probably use real licorice root to flavor it, but there's probably no actual benefit of it in there anymore, especially with all of the weird sugars and stuff. So the licorice root that I'm talking about is a plant, not a candy. So if it's candy and they say, oh, this is, and it's not like organic, and they can't tell you that it was made from licorice root and how they did it and all, leave it where it's at. Licorice root helps reduce stress. And turmeric, I love turmeric, and it boosts brain function. But in the hormone intelligence book, it actually tells that turmeric helps with depression. So you, like, what I did, they have a couple of different ways you can do it. I just made like a little concentrate. The stuff that's floating around in there is coconut oil. So you want to have a healthy fat like coconut oil or olive oil to help with the absorption of the active ingredient curcumin in there, and also some black pepper, some fresh ground black pepper helps with absorbing it. Otherwise, it will just stain stuff and make stuff taste like, I don't know, have a nice little light spicy taste to it. So if you want any health benefits out of your turmeric, eat it with a healthy fat and black pepper to absorb the stuff properly. And then, of course, our good old friend ashwagandha helps reduce stress and anxiety. But like I said, I will be putting a larger list in our RockTruth Cafe Live group, all of the good stuff that it helps with, and some tips on how to incorporate some of these things into your diet, your cooking, and all of that. So that's all I got for y'all today. I'm about to freeze the rest of my ice cream and finish enjoying my treat and hopefully get some more work done while my daughter's still napping. So enjoy y'all weekend. Thanks for tuning in.